Welcome to Storytimer at Large, Jessica Roach. Jessica Roach was born on November 27, 1977. She was the daughter of Terry and Charles Roach. Jessica attended Ridge Farm High School in Georgetown, Illinois. She was a good student, well-liked and outgoing. On September 30th, 1993, 15-year-old Jessica Roach was abducted on a rural road around 3:30 p.m. Jessica was wearing a white shirt, black jeans, and black tennis shoes. She had gone out that afternoon for a bike ride. Her bike was found on the road later, but there was no sign of Jessica. In 1993, enough people had seen enough news stories about other missing children, so they didn't dismiss Jessica's disappearance. She wasn't considered a runaway. The community jumped into action searching for Jessica. They scoured the area around Georgetown, Illinois. People thought they had seen her, and these sightings were reported and investigated. Sadly, weeks dragged on while Jessica's parents and friends agonized over her disappearance. Jessica wasn't found in Illinois, though. She was found on November 8, 1993, in a field near Perrysville, Indiana. The spot was about a half mile from State Road 63 on County Road 1300 North. Not long after she was found, locals felt that Jessica's murder and another young woman's murder were connected. Holly Ann Anderson was abducted from Illinois and murdered on January 8, 1992, in Indiana. I could find nothing written about her abduction and murder in the newspapers in 1992. It isn't until Jessica Roach was murdered that Holly Ann Anderson's murder began to be discussed seriously in the press. Holly was found incredibly close to where Jessica would be found in 1993. I'm going to put the link to my blog in the comments of this video so you can see the maps and take a look, in depth at them. But it's two county roads. They're 1300 and 1450, but there's no 1400 between them. So they're literally one and then the next road. They intersect Indiana State Road 63. If you are using the Google Earth Street View feature, you can stand in a way. You can put the marker on one of those streets, and you can see all the way over to the other road. You can see across those fields, and you can see that other farm on the other road. So I am almost wondering if Larry Dwayne Hall thought he was on the same road. Both Jessica and Holly lived near Danville, Illinois. Larry Dwayne Hall frequently drove through the area on trips to Springfield to visit sites related to Abraham Lincoln and the American Civil War. He was very active in reenactment events of that era as well, and Revolutionary War history events. But he also just visited places that were of historical interest to him. Holly Ann Anderson's murder is an unsolved cold case as I write this in 2025. Jessica's murder, however, was solved. In October 1994, police in Gas City, Indiana, pulled over a van. And the driver of that van was Larry Dwayne Hall. A concerned parent had called the police and given them the plate number of the van that day. The driver had been approaching children and trying to lure them into his van. Police noticed items in his van that concerned them. Articles and handwritten notes that mentioned several recent murders and missing girls. Items were in the van that looked an awful lot like an abduction kit. They relayed this information to investigators working on the cases of missing and murdered women and girls in Indiana. Larry Dwayne Hall was questioned by the FBI later in his hometown of Wabash, Indiana, about the abduction and murder of Jessica Roach. He said he grabbed her as she was bike riding. He said he killed her by strangling her with a belt. All of the details that he confessed were nearly identical to the fate that befell Jessica Roach. But Larry Dwayne Hall later recanted that confession. He claimed that he was under pressure. He claimed he was just a people pleaser and wanted to just say whatever investigators wanted to hear. So the FBI tried another tactic. They offered an inmate a chance at freedom if he would try to get information for them. The prisoner was serving a 10-year sentence on a drug charge. This man, James King, agreed. He was placed in a cell with Larry Dwayne Hall and over time gained his confidence. The two men talked about their lives. Hall discussed his travels, his hobbies, and his criminal activity. Serial killer Larry Dwayne Hall was then arrested, tried, and finally convicted in June of 1995 of Jessica Roach's abduction and murder. He is serving life without the possibility of parole in a federal penitentiary in Butner, North Carolina. He is still being investigated in the deaths of many more women and girls. Jessica Roach was only 15. Her whole life was stolen from her on that day in the fall of 1993. Rest in peace, Jessica.